today, after I went to Wawa and got an iced tea, a green tea, like a burrito and a candy bar and some chips. Man, right before that, because of the water fast, I don't see, I didn't go until lunch, so it was a 48-hour water fast. And it damn near felt like I was gonna die. Not really die, but I mean, the energy was just sucked out of me. And I'm trying to move to get this homeowner's house finished before they move in, and then take a lunch break. So I'm trying to move as best I can. I'm trying to like gasp for air, like I always do, but not really being able to catch it as easily. And then after I got done eating lunch, man, I like all of a sudden energy just is injected into you. So what I have to do now is, because I'm not gonna this is something that my body is completely foreign to. So I need to figure out what it is that I'm like, what is it that has so much sugar in it? And what is it? Is it just the sugar, or is it the salt too? Because the bag of chips, instantly, before I even ate my lunch, I can feel like the energy coming back into my body. And then when I took a sip of the green tea, then it, you can just feel it. And I ate my lunch, and then I was fine. I feel great now. But I'm not gonna let that water fast slide by me, because 2 days, 48 hours, the amount of energy that I had in my body out of 100% was about maybe 33%, 35%, maybe 30% altogether. But it could have been 33%. I'm not really certain. But that's it. That's all the energy that I had. And man, I just wouldn't want to live that way. Like, if I felt that way all the time, but I can't just let it go by. So what I'm going to do now is just push record and talk about what comes to mind. Like, what should I do now? Here's what came to mind. When I was hooked on Xanax, and when I was trying to wean off of them, and I get stuck back on them, and I wean off again, and I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to take them this day, but not 2 days in a row, I promise. And then I'll take them 2 days in a row, like, well, I might just take another day. And I'm hooked, just like that. Hooked all over again. Because I'm creating a new habit, and not getting rid of, or I'm getting rid of the pattern that I was developing by getting rid of the old habit. So what comes to mind is just weaning off of sugar. I'm gonna wean off of sugar. Not that I'm gonna stop ever having sugar, because I don't even know if that's possible. I don't even know, like, how are our bodies made, and how much of our genetics is like injected into our ancestors' DNA. Well, so what I'll do today is, from lunch, from the time I'm done eating lunch, I'll just start on another water fast for the next 24 hours. Because all I needed, it wasn't that I was hungry or thirsty or anything. It's just my body was so weak, and I'm at work, and I hate feeling weak at work when you got a lot of stuff to do. It's a nightmare being like that. So I got replenished is what I did for this day, for the 2-day fast of doing water, and no alcohol either. I didn't drink any alcohol. And but I'm still using the oil. But no energy drinks. And I feel like my headache, I would always kind of have like a headache-ish, but you don't really think of it like that, because if you drink an energy drink every day, that's it. You have an energy drink and drink it. But how do you not know that it gives you a headache? And then therefore, when you're drinking it, because sometimes when I stopped drinking energy drinks, I would get the headache, which means it's drawing you towards it. So if I'm drinking one every day and I get a headache the day I decide to stop drinking it, that means it has a strong hold of your physical body, whatever the hell is in that, and whatever else is in it. And that's the thing, that anything that grabs you like that, you gotta just get rid of it. So even food itself, sugar, the sugar demon kicked my ass today. And then, so I went back to it. So it's just like, it's the same thing as getting off of Xanax. And here's how I got off of Xanax. I was taking 2 a day. So when I decided to stop taking it, I would still take 2 the next day, but I would split them in halves and take a half, and then by time I would normally take the second Xanax later on at night, that would be my third half or third quarter of the football Xanax, because I had 4 quarters. And so once I got to the third quarter, that would have been equivalent to having 2 full Xanax in a day. Then the next day, I did the same thing. So the idea is to go 3 days of doing the same amount, but separating the time frame in between and the amount by dividing it instead of taking a full one. Because as soon as you take a full one, you're fully hit, and you're like, you get hit, with your tiredness too. And I used to get irritated from Xanax, ironically, because again, when you don't have Xanax, or when you're on them and you're always kind of tired, so you get a little bit irritated. You kind of get in a little delusional land. It's probably why I was kind of annoying to a lot of people back then. I can see why, because I'm looking at myself in other videos thinking, you freaking loser, Xanax head, what the hell do you know? And then, so when you take 2 Xanax for 3 days and you chop it up more and spread it apart, the timeline, then on the 4th day, now I might have done this only 2 days in a row and then switch it up, but I think it's best to do it for 3 days, because what do you got to lose? You're already doing them every day anyway. If anybody wants to stop, it doesn't matter if it's Xanax. It's just, it can be Percocets, or it could be any drug, period, that you're doing all the time, that you don't want to, if you don't want to have something grab a hold of your flesh to just control you in that direction, then try it. It's a fast. It's not even it's nothing to do with food. And then on the 4th day, go for 1.5. Spread it, cut them in. Now you got 3 quarters. And let's say you wake up, you take one. And then 12 noon, you take one. And then 6 o'clock, you take one. Well, no, I think 6 o'clock will be at the end of the time for me. in the morning you take one around noonish, then around like 3 or 4, and then around 8. Well, yeah, you want to take it at bedtime. That's right. Yeah, it does make sense. So on the 4th day, from detox and from like Xanax, from what I did, is now you're taking a quarter, a half of each one. You got 3 halves. And when you had 4 halves, you would take one in the morning, and then at noon, and then at 6, and then whatever time you go to bed, that way you can sleep, because that is the most important thing. Because I need to work, and I can't be tossing and turning at work while I'm trying to get off of sugar. Because that's what it is when you're laying in bed trying to get off of Xanax. You're tossing and turning unless you do it this correct way. And I promise you, you'll be able to sleep, because it's an experience that I did myself, and it worked. And all the way through, like, I didn't have the most comfortable sleep, but if anybody takes Xanax and you don't have any, you know what it feels like. That feeling of trying to go to sleep, you're just like restless leg syndrome, arm syndrome, and you can't sleep. So I was able to sleep every night all the way through the entire way of kicking the habit. And then I started to sleep really good, and then my dreams were really it was really good to sleep comfortably. So the 4th day, what you do is you now, instead of taking it at, let's say, 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock at night, now you wait until 10 o'clock, and then you wait until 4 o'clock. So you're spacing apart a few more hours each time, and then you still take one at night when you go to bed. You still do that, because that's the key, that last one. And then the 5th day, same process, same thing. You want to get your body conditioned. Like, when you make a change, you want your body to accept that change for the next 2 days, which means it's a 3-day process before you get off of whatever it is, even if you're trying to do cigarettes. Because stopping cold turkey, it's just some things can affect you more, especially a drug. Cigarettes is more mental than anything. It really is more mental than anything. Just like coffee. I can't be addicted to coffee because it doesn't even taste good. Or alcohol. Can't be addicted to it. It's not something that's going to tear my body apart if I stop. Mentally, it's just like, yeah, it'd be nice to have a beer. But this is why now your thoughts are like that, because when you condition yourself with fasting, you learn to just, these thoughts aren't so mind gripping. Like, they don't grip you and pull you in this direction. You can see like the thought coming, and then like, nah, I'm good. So the 5th day, you do the same thing. You wake up, you take a half at 8 a.m. if you get up early, and then another half at 2 p.m. At 4, and then another one at whenever you go to bed. Let's just say it's 10 o'clock. So you take one at like 9 o'clock. That way you still got that. The ticket is to still be able to sleep, to wean off of something that you're doing, and be successful without tossing and turning or feeling like you're going to drop dead at work. Because the Xanax has the same effect at work also. So then the 6th day comes around. Now it's time to condition your body to change a notch, and now you're going to only take 1 Xanax a day. So on your 6th day, you take 1 Xanax from 2. So it's a 2-week process, and then you have another 2 weeks of gaining your conscious back without being in a fog, because Xanax keeps you in a fog. You're kind of delusional, and you don't care about much because you don't really have feelings there. Day 6, you're only going to take one. It's a half and a half. And then instead of 10 o'clock, obviously, you wait until noon. Or 2. If you can stretch it between 2 and noon, depending on what time you go to bed. So if you go to bed at 10, if you wake up at 8 and you go to bed at 10, a 12-hour day, then because you still were able to sleep, you take it at noon, because at first it was at 8, then it's at 10, then it's at noon. And you always take it at night before you go to bed. So if you can stretch it from 12 to 10, now you're spacing it apart 10 hours, and your body's getting used to doing without. You still feel some of the anxiety a little bit, but not much. And just the feeling of knowing that you're getting ready to kick something that has had a hold of you your entire life, like myself. It's a good feeling. So that's on the 6th day. And then the 7th day, well, you're going to do the same exact thing. Same exact thing. And then on the 8th day, it's time to change again. So now you're only going to be taking a half. So what you do with the half is you cut that in half, and then you take a quarter of the half. And because now you're only going to take a half in a day, you're going to do this 2 days in a row, the 8th and the 9th day. You're taking two quarters of a half, and now you're going to space it out till about 2 o'clock p.m. to take the first little piece, and then wait until you go to bed. Rinse, repeat, 9th day. And then for the 10th day, you're only going to take a quarter of you're going to take a half of a half, which is a quarter of a football. And so when do you take that? Well, you take it at night, of course, so you can sleep. And then do it again on the 11th day. And then the 12-step program is on the 12th day. It's actually less than 2 weeks, only 2 days. But on the 12th day, this 12-step program. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to stretch it, you can. You can take on the 12th day. You can take a quarter of a half, a quarter of a quarter of a quarter, I think. Chop that one, and then you can also do that 2 days in a row. If you're feeling like, man, I don't know if I can do the 12-step program, but maybe it's a 14-day process. So within 2 weeks, 2 weeks is the limit in order to kick a habit. And it doesn't matter what habit it is. It can be Xanax, it can be Percocets, it can be heroin, it can be crack, it can be meth, it can be cigarettes, it can be energy drinks, it can be coffee, it can be weed, if that's a problem for anybody. Or it can be whatever it is, 2 weeks guaranteed. And then what happens after that, you do the 2-week thing. You can let me know in the comments. It's like, man, Rob, I really want to thank you so much, because what you said, I applied it, because I am tired of this habit getting a hold of me, and I just need to be patient and know that I can spread it out like that. And even if you're addicted to coffee, then if you get a large all the time, well, then you get a medium next time. And then when you usually get it in the morning, wait until you take a break if you can, or take it with you in a nice new mug that I just received. Thank God I don't have an ugly mug from my boss. And then that would make me feel good that somebody listened to how I was talking about fasting out loud. Because the Bible, if you take it literally, and if you don't have common sense, you'll look at it as, well, you don't want to say anything to anybody about fasting, because it's just something that you don't want people to know that you're doing, because you don't want attention for it. But what if you're not looking for attention for it? What if you're looking to help people to get rid of the demons that are in their heads? That way the world can be a completely better place, or at least whoever's watching my channel can help. I can apply these things, because I'm telling you, all I can do is tell you that it works. And throughout the day, each moment that you're living in the moment, you appreciate life more. Just like the iced tea, just like the water. Yeah, it's poison. I know, everything's poison. But even water, I'm not going to let water have a hold of me either. That way, doing a 2-day water fast and then replenishing, it's kind of like taking a Xanax. And then I'm going to do without food and any other kind of sugar, just water. I'm going to do water up until at least tomorrow lunch. So I'm not going to stop and get breakfast at Wawa. And I'll wait until lunch. Now, if I want to go longer, I mean, I can. There's no pressure whatsoever. But I will go at least 24 hours to do that thing. That way I get to lunch. Because I do like eating breakfast, but I know it's something that you probably shouldn't really eat before like 11 or 12 anyway. Because I've noticed when I sleep in, and if I ate the night before or something, I'm feeling like a chunk ball. If I sleep in until about 12, my stomach doesn't feel so big. But that's only because I didn't wake up until 12 or something. And if I wake up in the morning and I go eat something, well, I feel, heavy. And then I go eat lunch again, I'm feeling even heavier and weighed down and tired. So it's just something that I'll just consciously be aware of all the time, that this isn't a fast, isn't I'll just do it once in a while thing. It really should become a lifestyle of not just food, just anything that you, the person watching this video, you, because there's different yous out there, whatever you, not me, whatever you have that has a hold of you, and you're tired of it having hold of you, but you can't stop doing it because it's just like, oh well. But you can't stop doing it because you didn't try to stop doing it. So you can't do anything if you're not trying to do it. And you get rid of that little pesky little demon. That's all it is. It's one little demon, one little nagging fleshly thought that you have, because it's you. You can listen to God in your spirit, or you can listen to Satan in your spirit. You can listen to, now, not always is it that when you're listening to Satan is it a bad thing, because there's times where people have said things to me as a Luciferian, and I didn't like it, so I'd be like, Satan, bastard worshippers. But I would realize later on, like, yeah, you know what, that person was right when they said it, but that would have been my own non-chicken shit side, that like the one that has not caring, the feelings are turned off, and it's just bluntly the truth. Now, Christ is perceived to be a wuss. He's perceived to be a punk from the pit, because they accused him of being Satan. And that's why the story is, because See, Jesus was such a badass dude that they tried to make the story as if he was a wuss, where he would just go and die for this guy's sins over here when he's still committing them, and tell everybody to pick up your own cross as they're still committing sins. And because they tried to make it seem like he was going to die for them. No, he's not dying for you in a sense where you're going to nail him to a cross literally and take his actual physical life. He was sticking up for the human being vessel and explaining to you the thoughts that were in your head and how to get them out of your head. That way you can enjoy your life no matter what position you are. Doesn't even matter if you're low of the totem pole troll man or at the highest level on planet Earth or heaven. The idea was to get everybody to stop warring with themselves. That way he didn't have to get nailed to a cross. I mean, doesn't that make more sense? I'm telling you, I'm gonna write the Book of Robin and I'm gonna publish it. And it'll just be more of a common sense crucified Jesus. Because the story that was told goes to where they don't want people to know that when Jesus was walking the earth and he was showing the Pharisees and Sadducees and the leaders, when he was brought to King Herod and Pilate, after that happened, they became friends. And then, so they're like leaving it on the Pharisees. They're the ones that wanted to continually crucify him with their words. They were crucifying him with their words. Not that he was actually physically harmed by their words, but it's a war. It's a battle, a war of words and the spirit. So because Christ was a spiritual black belt or spiritual MMA world champion that actually had some losses, not some perfect never sinned, can literally walk on water and never had a bad day in his life, fairy tale human being that people get so turned off by hearing that they don't believe it. So when you start talking about Jesus, guess what? They don't believe it, because I don't blame them. The story is ridiculous. No human being on the earth ever was perfect and never sinned, never had a problem in their life. It just doesn't work that way. No human being on earth had a different fleshly body except for those that are aliens that have the host body system inside of them. But I mean, that's your race. That's Lucifer's race. Lucifer, he doesn't work for the freaking punk in the pit. Ah, man, what if he did? Wouldn't that be some scary shit in the end for those that don't believe it? So the whole entire system that is inside of your body, that's inside of your body. That's your choice that you made. And everybody has free will to do what they want. Who am I to say anything about what you do with your body? You got to live with your body. I got to live with my body. I was dying today trying to live in this body because of denying my flesh. I was denying this flesh that's ruled by desires. So your mind needs to get control of your flesh. That way you don't get out of control or out of hand. And also, when you're able to get rid of those first initial thoughts that are injected by your flesh, your other side, it's just your other side. You can call it evil or good. I'll just call it the exact opposite of your other side. Whichever one you want to pick is the one that you become. Like, you're the vessel, and there's two different spirits. Why do you think what's her name? Beyonce. Why do you think beyond? Shh, like don't say anything. Why do you think beyond say has twins in her womb? Why would she have twins in her womb when she was pregnant? She has Cain and Abel. They used to be on the outside, but now they're on the inside. And what they do is they fill up their hollows. And I think it's a snack or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I think because it's some kind of protein anyway, so it's a protein shake, snack. But I don't know if that's an immediate thing or a 9-month thing, because the avocado takes 9 months to be birthed or finished or grow. And I heard from SJD that in Philly on, I think, the 17th, I don't know how they would specifically know the exact date, but I think there's locusts coming from the pit or something, some kind of bee bugs that are hatching out in Philadelphia. We're probably going to see them swarming all over the place. And the people that fell for the trick, because what you were told happens inside of you doesn't really, because that could be part of the Wi-Fi documentary being written, see how far people go and what they believe, that these things would be hatching out, and then you're supposed to give birth to these locusts that are going to rise up from your pit that was created because of the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. Because when you make a hole in your place and your tree is standing up, well, that's the abomination of desolation that Daniel was talking about. But was it? Or is that the interpretation of what Sodom and Gomorrah is talking about? Because just like with the interpretation of let us create man in our image, he, him. Well, when did God create man and woman in his image? I think that's happening these days now. God is creating man and woman in his own image.